Will Vorden uncover the truth about Quinn and Layla's mysterious relationship? Can Quinn overcome the odds and defeat Brandon?
Riley tried activating his hardening skill, but Quinn's strength was still strong enough to get through and eventually caused Riley to pass out. "That's for pushing me around in the canteen." Quinn then went to his bag to pull out a test tube and held Riley's leg up, allowing the blood to slowly drip into the test tube until it filled up. Quinn then did the same with the other two students collecting blood from their open wounds. After they had finished collecting the blood, it was time for them to get out of there and leave the scene. Students who were found injured outside the school would be taken to the doctor's office. When the two of them arrived at the school, it was still 9 o'clock, so they had an hour before they needed to head to their dorm rooms. "So, what do you need all the blood for? You know, if you need some blood, you can just take some of mine any time. I really don't mind." "Thanks, but I just wanted to test something out." "Inspect." Quinn had used his inspect skill on each of the containers. The first was Riley's blood. "Blood type B positive." "Here goes," Quinn said, as he popped the cork open and drank the small tube of blood. "You have regained 5 points of HP, 14 of 15 HP. B-positive blood type has been absorbed. Plus 1 point of agility has been added." Drinking the blood no longer bothered him once he found out the taste was quite sweet. All Quinn needed to do was convince himself it was some type of juice. "You have regained 1 point of HP, HP 15 of 15. This person's blood has been consumed before. No extra stats will be given." As Quinn thought, the blood still regained his health, similar to how a potion worked in a game, but once a person's blood had been consumed, it would no longer give him any stat points. Quinn then drank the 2 other test tubes from the other students. "Blood type A negative has been absorbed, plus 1 strength point has been added. Blood type AB positive has been absorbed, plus 1 stamina point has been added." Assuming being positive or negative blood type didn't matter so far, A-type had given him strength, B gave him agility, and AB stamina. Quinn couldn't help but wonder what would happen if he drank the O-type. What Quinn needed more than ever was more skills he could use. Blood Swipe was great, but it only had a distance of 5 meters, and it took away his health. With other abilities, you would be able to obtain new skills by purchasing books or being taught by someone who already knew the skill. Quinn didn't have this option, as there was no one who he knew that had the same ability as him, and that, of course, meant there were no skill books either. Before Layla and Quinn split ways to head back to their dorm rooms, Quinn had one last request. "What do you know about what happened to Vorden?" "Honestly, I don't know too much, because when everything happened, I was stuck in the hospital bed because of someone." "Well, do you mind finding out for me? It seems like the second years are behind this and are stopping me and Peter from getting any information." "The second years are involved in this? Well, that's not good. You're not planning to get involved, are you?" That Momo person had warned them not to disturb the system within the school. But now with this ability, he could grow stronger, without the need of help or relying on others, and he couldn't wait for the day he could punch that Momo's smug face in. "Yeah, but I need to get stronger, of course." There was one big difference between the second years and first years, and that was something called awakening. The second years had learned how to awaken their ability. This allowed the user, regardless of the power level, to get a power boost for a short period of time. Once a user had awakened, they then could also form something called their soul weapon, a powerful weapon unique to each user that was formed in the body itself. This was different from a beast weapon, as a beast weapon could be used by anyone. Quinn headed back to his dorm room where Vorden and Peter were still practicing their earth abilities. "I did it! I finally did it!" Peter held a small, round, solid lump of mud in his hand. As he moved his hands, he was able to change the shape of the mud. He turned it from a ball into a long staff, then back into a ball again. "The only problem is, as a level 1 user, you'll need to keep some type of mud on you at all times," Vorden explained. "Perhaps it's best you keep it as a round staff and carry it around with you. Then you will always have something to take with you." Vorden then grabbed the mud and started to demonstrate. He did the same thing as Peter and started to change the mud ball into different shapes. But the difference between speeds was noticeable. While Peter took a long time to form the shape he wanted, Vorden was changing the mud in seconds. "Wow, is this 'cause you're a level 5 user, Vorden?" "No, this is something you should be able to do as well. It just takes practice. When I copy someone's ability, I also copy whatever power level it is at. So everything I can do with this mud, you should be able to do as well." Vorden then turned the mud ball into a sharp dagger and placed it up against Peter's neck. See? Not so useless after all. Peter gulped as he looked down at the sword, but then realized that Vorden had already changed the ball's shape into a harmless stick and handed it back to Peter. "Oh, Quinn, you're back," Vorden said, smiling. "Did you have fun?" "Yeah, a little bit," Quinn said. "Vorden here said you got a girlfriend," Peter quickly added. "What?" Quinn said. "You know, that girl that was with us at the testing that time." Quinn started to think about what his relationship with Layla was. Layla did almost everything Quinn asked without answers. It was almost a master and servant relationship, but if Quinn said that, they would definitely get the wrong idea. "We're just acquaintances. I was talking about how she got to use her weapon and discussing what classes to take. I'm going to join the Beast Weapons class." Finally, after finishing their breakfast, it was time for their combat classes. Quinn had chosen the Beast Weapons class after thinking long and hard. Quinn was known as a no-ability user, so it was really the only option for him. Otherwise, he would have to just sit back at the back of the other classes and do nothing. The weapon class was popular among those that had an ability that was able to enhance it. Those who could slightly see the future or had telekinesis ability like Layla would attend these classes, but Quinn wanted to find a weapon that would suit him and his fighting style. Standing at the back of the hall was a bald-headed man wearing leather armor and had a long katana blade by his side. But the katana blade hilt was jagged and rough, and the back of the blade the same. It looked like it had been forged from an animal that was not of this planet. The man remained silent at the back with his eyes closed. Quinn could only assume the man was their teacher, being the oldest one in the room. The room slowly started to fill up with students, and that's when Layla had entered and spotted Quinn. She immediately came over to him and started chatting. Unlike when Vorden had spoken to Quinn, the other students didn't really pay attention because Layla herself was also considered weak. "This class is a lot more popular than I thought. Yeah, I wonder what weapon I should pick." "Well, I already have mine," Layla said, pointing to her bow on her back. A lot of the students in the room already had weapons of their own. Quinn and a couple of others were the only ones who didn't have anything on them. Just then, while Quinn was busy staring at the wall, the other students started to get rowdy as someone entered the weapons hall. "What is she doing here? Isn't she an elemental user? Why would she be here?" "Who cares? Maybe we can spare with her, and if we beat her, we can ask her on a date." As Quinn turned around to see who the girl was everyone was talking about, it turns out he had already met her before. It was Erin Healy, the ice ability user. "I wonder why she decided to go to this class instead of the elemental class." "Attention!" Everyone froze and turned to look at the old man. "My name is Leo, and I will be your teacher for today." Leo then pulled out his katana blade from his sheath and pointed it out in front of him. "Your first task will be to pick your weapon. You must think carefully. Your weapon is your lifeline. When your ability won't work, the only thing you can rely on is your own skills. Now go, and choose one from the wall around you." Quinn looked at the wall and saw all sorts of things. Axes, short swords, spiked clubs, whips, scythes. There was so much to choose from. Quinn was really having a hard time. Quinn then walked up to one of the random swords on the wall and used his inspect skill. Corge sword, tier basic beast weapon, strength +3, agility -2. The sword is incompatible with the skill blood swipe. After searching around the room for a while, Quinn came across a weapon that stood out from the rest. Black-horned gauntlets, basic tier beast weapon, strength 3, agility 0, stamina 0, defense 2. This weapon is compatible with the skill blood swipe. When used with the gauntlets, blood swipe will have an increase of 5% in power. The gauntlets were black in color and had little tiny horns going up the forearm. The fingertips were pointed and bladed at the ends. It made them look almost like some type of dragon claw. What a strange choice, young boy. It's not many people's first choice. With a weapon like this, you have to have no fear and get in close to your enemy. But that is also the reason it is sturdier than most and can be used as a form of defense. Quinn had already experienced fighting more than most kids. He was used to using his fists. With his blood swipe skill as well, he didn't always have to get up right close to his opponent. "Do you mind if I try it?" Quinn asked. "Go ahead," Leo said as he left to check up on other students selecting weapons. Basic horn gauntlets equipped, strength 12, agility 12, stamina 11, defense 2. Once everyone had finished picking out their weapon, Leo called everyone to gather around the center ring. For your first lesson, I want to see what you've got. We will have a sparring match, 2 people at a time. We will all watch the match and commentate on what can be improved on. Now, are there any volunteers?" In an instant, Erin was the first to put her hand up. Without even waiting for Leo to say anything, she headed for the arena in the middle and stood inside. She held a single silver longsword that shined bright. "Oh, I also forgot to add, abilities will be banned during today's sparring sessions," Leo added. "It is important that you know how to use your weapon first. Only then can you truly bring out the full potential of the weapon with your ability." After saying those words, students had raised their hands like a rocket. They all wanted to get the chance to beat the famous Ice Queen. "I think you chose the wrong club. Your ice abilities will be useless here." Erin didn't reply, though, and simply took her stance, waiting for her opponent to come forward first. The man charged in, wielding his large axe above his head. When he swung it down, Erin spun her body to the side, avoiding the blow, and at the same time slashed at the back of the man's legs, causing him to stumble. She then placed her blade towards the man's neck, inches away from his throat. "I give up!" Everything had happened in an instant, and the room was suddenly silenced. They all knew Erin was strong, but it was unexpected of her to be so skillful with the blade. Most ability users, if they had a strong ability like Erin, would rely on that power and not bother learning a weapon. But it was clear to everyone she had some practice. The next fight that had caught Leo's attention was the fight with Layla. Even though Layla could no longer use her telekinesis, with her bow, she was able to shoot ahead and predict where her opponent would turn. The next pair, Quinn and Brandon Richardson to the arena. Now it was Quinn's turn. With the weapons hall being indoors, Quinn was able to use his full stats and his opponent was unable to use his ability. Finally, for once, Quinn was in a situation where he didn't feel weaker than the person he was going up against. As Quinn walked up to the stage, he noticed that Brandon, his opponent's indicator, showed that he was at the power level of 3. But here in the arena, where abilities weren't allowed, Quinn had a body stronger than most. His speed was faster than most. Brandon held a large spear in hand, which had great reach. The end was sharp, with a single curved blade at the end. "Opponent power level 3. Bonus EXP will be rewarded." It seemed like Quinn's day was only getting better. "Begin!" Brandon immediately charged in with his spear, while Quinn stood there and took a fighting stance with both of his hands held out in front of him. When Brandon was within striking distance, he thrust his spear forward. But to Quinn, who had 12 points in agility, it was easy for him to dodge. He avoided the spear strike and ducked down. Then, before Brandon could pull the spear back, Quinn went and grabbed the spear with his hand. "What the hell?" Brandon said as he tried pulling the spear back. "Let go!" While holding the spear with one hand, Quinn opened up his other hand and swung out his fist like a claw as hard as he could at the spear. Then, a few moments later, the spear had been sliced in half. "What the... My weapon, it's faulty!" Brandon complained, but Leo did nothing to step in. Quinn rushed forward, and before Brandon could do anything, Quinn punched him hard in the stomach. Brandon's feet lifted off the ground, and it looked like his body was about to fly away. "Inspect. Brandon Richardson, ability elemental, HP 5 of 15, blood type O positive." Quinn grabbed him and pulled him back down, and at the same time kneed him in the face, causing Brandon's nose to bleed and his head to be sent backwards. And finally, Brandon collapsed, lying there on the ground. "Winner, Quinn, Leo said. "Opponent has been defeated, 50 EXP rewarded. First time higher power level bonus, 50 EXP rewarded. 220 of 200 EXP. Congratulations, you are now level 3. 20 of 400 EXP. 1 attribute point awarded. New skill, Blood Bank, unlocked." After defeating Brandon, Quinn had received multiple messages and had even leveled up. The bonus reward for defeating a level 3 user was higher than when he defeated a level 2 user. Before leaving, Quinn looked at Brandon, who was lying on the floor. Blood was dripping from his nose, and Quinn just had one thought. What a waste. It was a shame Quinn wasn't able to store or drink Brandon's blood. After all, everyone was watching. But if he did, he would have learnt what the O-type blood did as well. The 2 military men again appeared out of thin air and took Brandon away to the doctor's office. But before Quinn could leave the arena, a couple of boys shouted from the crowd. "That's not fair," a boy said. Brandon obviously was using a faulty weapon. Yeah, and what was with that anyway? That idiot decided to still attack him anyway after seeing his weapon break. He should be punished.
How will Quinn defend himself against the allegations of an unfair fight? Find out in the next episode.
Subscribe to the Pocket FM Fantasy YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notifications. Check out our channel for more exciting shows.